That's where we're keeping our focus, the killings in Benue State and, by extension, some other parts of the country. But we're being joined in our Abuja studios by Engineer Saleh Al-Hassan, is the Secretary, Miyetti, Allah Kautal Hori, Fulani Socio-Cultural Association, and he was indeed former Secretary General, National Youth Council of Nigeria. Thank you for joining us. There's been so much discussions around you. For a start, the governor of Benue State wants you arrested for atrocities he says he has evidence that you carried out, you and your members, in Benue State. How do you view that statement?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I want to state clearly, before then, let me first and foremost condole the people of Benue State and indeed condemn the killings that have been going on, particularly within the Benue border communities, and restate our organization condemnation of these killings and state categorically clear that in no way, in no manner have we aided or abetted these killings. What we have done when His Excellency Governor Otom signed that law into bill, we came out and said, look, this law is going to generate crisis. Our crime is to oppose the law, and we have taken legal steps, gone to court to say, look, this law will not endanger peace in the Benue Valley. That is our only crime. But we are challenging His Excellency Governor Utom to bring out the evidences he has against us. It's not to come to media and say he has evidences. Look, we have never threatened Benue people. We have never threatened. We are a peace-loving organization, and it's there on record. We have been partnering with the security agencies to promote peace. We are an advocacy organization.
You know, it was
believed.
I
want to state clearly that this allegation is not only false.
It was believed.
It's a propaganda by the governor, because we are challenging his law before the courts, and his anger is, why should we challenge the law? We are challenging it because it's against the livelihood. It's against the livelihood of the pastoralists, and it's not well thought out. That's our position.
If you say the law was not well thought out, what part of the law do you have grievances with?
The entirety of the law, because one, you cannot wake up overnight and say you want to create ranches by fiat. Ranches are creation of technology and scientific studies, and you are treating this pastoral as if they are not indigenous to Nigeria. In 2014, precisely March, we were part of a security committee that visited Benue at the peak of the crisis. The security committee then was constituted by the Inspector General of Police under the leadership of the then DIG Mike Zokumo, and the current Inspector General of Police was a member of that committee. The current DIG operation, Joseph Kabila, was a part of that peace committee. We met in Benue for 4 days. We sat down, looked at the crisis, and came out with a resolution. And that resolution was signed on behalf of the Benue State government by retired John Atankwera. The resolutions are there. What we are saying is that when His Excellency Governor Utom wanted to create this apartheid law to chase out the pastoralists from Benue Valley, who did he consult? We were not invited. We stated we are not invited. Our people are not involved. And these laws, our people are not aware of it. So that is our crime. When we say, look, you cannot legislate against the livelihood of a people without involving them. So in no way we have called for any violence. We're a peace-loving organization. I still state that.
Because I'm not really following you up on your submission so far, because there are concerns that if you say that if you fault that law completely, then how then do you expect that if you don't dialogue with the government, and then there will be peace? Because it does seem to suggest that at the moment, your men have felt really aggrieved by this law and taking laws into their hands and killing people.
You see, we have written to the government of Benue State, we have written to all the relevant security agencies, telling them why we are opposed to this law. But what His Excellency Governor Utom did was to dismiss our organization, claiming we don't have members in Benue. We are sitting in Abuja, we are politicians, because we dare told him, look, you can't go by that way. The reality is that you cannot proscribe pastoralism overnight. It's going to be a process that have to encompass policies and programs that will take a period of time.
So what is it that you want at this point in time?
Yes, we want a national policy that will address the challenges that are facing the pastoralists in Nigeria. You see, the Benue case is not an isolated case. We are talking of conflict. For the past 15 years now, since the return of democratic rule, the pastoralists in this country have been subjected to persecution and ethnic profiling, especially by media organizations and organizations that are championing ethnic irredentism. Today we have cases where pastoralists have been killed over this country. Not even an action is taken. We have sedentary pastoralists that are on Mambila Plateau who own ranches that have certificate of occupancy. They were massacred in their hundreds. Their cattle destroyed. Up to date, there are refugees in Cameroon. Nobody was done about it. We are witness to massive killings of pastoralists, women and children in Numan. No action was taken against it. Look, we have to be holistically addressing these problems that are facing the pastoralist farmers conflict that are in this country. We are in this country. We have seen how over 100 security.
Now,
yes.
you said for the past 15 years, the herdsmen, your people have been killed, have been attacked. So is this like a reprisal attack? What's going on now?
No, what we are saying is that there is total breakdown of rural security because you have bandits, criminal elements all over. You have state governors, politicians that have armed militia groups.
Have you met some of these bandits and rural elements? Have you met them?
No, we have no relationship with them. What we are saying is from the securities. The onus lies on the securities to fish out these criminal elements, not to, at every time they are adopting reactionary measures. What we are saying is that, look, the pastoralist question in Nigeria has to be addressed.
Okay, but then a member of your group came up in the media and said that the attack on New Year's Day was a reprisal for the killing of about 1,000 cows. What's your reaction?
No, that man is not a member. Garus Gololo is the member of the cattle breeders, and there is a marked difference between the cattle breeders.
What's the difference?
Miyetti Allah, he's not our member, and he was an advisor to Otom, so he's not our member.
So there's a difference between the Miyetti Allah cattle and Miyetti Allah cattle breeders.
Yes, we are a socio-cultural organization that promotes peace and unity, ensure the survival of the pastoralist culture. We are an advocacy organization. You know, we have never been involved in any violence.
If you're a pastoralist,
that is why we insist that.
If you're a pastoralist organization promoting peace, as you say, a state came up with a law that you do not agree with. What alternatives did you give to the state, as in, this is what we are suggesting that this law should look like?
Yes, we first and foremost wrote to the states that we are opposed to the law. One, because we were not invited by the state assembly when they were formulating the law, so our inputs were not taken. And secondly, we said the manner in which they have crafted the law is totally against the livelihood of pastoralists. So in the implementing that law, definitely is going to generate crisis because these pastoralists are nomads, they are not educated, and that has been the only way of life they have known for centuries. So you cannot wake up. So we suggest that, look, we are supporting the creation of grazing reserve commission and pastoralist grazing corridors to have access. You see, this crisis is principally a land resource crisis that needs to be addressed through sustainable policies and programs, not politically motivated laws by fiat. Today you have a law, you impose, you create a law, and then you schedule the implementation of law on the hands of non-cattle rustlers and repentant Boko Haramis in the name of Ali Tashaku, who is heading the livestock guard in Benue. The governor should hold those characters responsible for the conflict. In fact, today, if you go and take a census of those people Governor don't have considered into livestock guards, they are the same cattle rustlers that have made peace impossible within the Benue Valley.
Okay. And General Hassan, now you're talking about creating pastoralist. You're creating an environment for the herdsmen to be able to rear their cattle. The question will be, is cattle rearing not a business?
Of course, cattle rearing is a business. So much also other agricultural activities. But government is heavily subsidizing agriculture.
How is government subsidizing agriculture?
They spend millions in purchasing fertilizer, subsidizing fertilizer, creating policies and programs that are even detrimental to the pastoralists. Today you have Fadama programs that have been ongoing that have displaced pastoralists from traditional grazing areas. You see, this issue of reducing pastoralism to a personal business is running away from realities. Pastoralists are a mobile indigenous population of Nigeria, and they must be given their own rights in Nigeria. You cannot, by law, you want to chase them away.
The farmers are also citizens who some of them buy their land, some of them inherited their land, and so the pastoralists coming there with their cattle to destroy their product. Is that not infringing on their own rights?
You see, fine, we condemn any trespass, but I challenge these governors that are creating this law to tell me how many cases are before the court of laws that have to do with trespass. You see, if you look at the Benue Valley in particular, at the peak period when you have pastoralists in the Benue Valley, these are the dry season periods. All crops have been harvested. And what I want you to understand that in the 19 northern states, we have a subsisting northern Nigeria grazing reserve rules and laws of 1965. So the pastoralists, particularly in northern Nigeria, they are not a new phenomenon. They have been there, they have been part and parcel of the geographic space. It's just that we have over days neglected the agricultural development, particularly that have to do with livestock development. We have grazing reserves, about 417 grazing reserves in northern Nigeria, only about 113 that have been gazetted. What we are calling for is the creation of a commission that will revive these grazing reserves, develop them, and ensure that these pastoralists are settled gradually over time. You cannot do this by fiat. It's not overnight.
So if this grazing reserves commission is established, would that take care of the issue of cattle rustling?
Of course, cattle rustling is a security issue. Today, who are the victims of cattle rustling? Is it not the herders that own the cows? What we are saying is that the entire rural security architecture have to be rejigged, have to be reorganized. We must understand that this deliberate attempt to stigmatize the herders, make them object of ridicule for either political or ethnic reason must stop.